Donald Trump arrived at his criminal trial today looking a bit off-kiltered, weak, a little bit lost. It's day 14, week 4 of Donald Trump's criminal trial. Stormy Daniels is on the stand. She's getting cross-examined by Donald Trump's lawyers, and it's going disastrous for Donald Trump right now. More on that in a bit. When Donald Trump arrived in court, he was reading a script. He was reading from those articles that he has one of his staff members who's hired to follow him around with a portable printer and print out articles that Trump's campaign and Trump's lawyers will think Donald Trump would enjoy. And so Trump took one of those pieces of paper and started to read what people like Alan Dershowitz and Jonathan Turley were saying about him. That's how it started, and it gets weirder and odder and more grotesque from there. But start off with this. Play it.
But he did a very bad thing. I just want to let you know that we've just filed a major motion in the appellate division concerning the absolutely unconstitutional gag order, where I'm essentially not allowed to talk to you about anything meaningful that's going on in the case, and many good things are going on with the case. It shouldn't have been filed. They had this morning the top legal scholars in the country. This is a Frankenstein case. They took a dead misdemeanor, they attached it to a dead alleged federal felony and zapped it back into life. So many of us are just amazed to watch us actually walk into court, because it's not a recognizable crime that any of us have seen. It's Jonathan Turley. I've been doing this for 60 years and I don't understand what crime he's been charged with. Nobody understands this. I just don't get the crime. There's no evidence of any crime whatsoever. This is a sham. That's Alan Dershowitz. And these are people that they speak their minds. They're not for me, they're for justice. This is another one. This is without precedent in American history, only with the desperation of President Joe Biden and his fanatic left-wing enforcers did it become possible to think about arresting and jailing their major political opponent. This case must be taken out of Judge Merchan's hands because he's totally conflicted. Judge Merchan is totally conflicted, like probably no judge has ever been conflicted before.
So then Donald Trump talked about how people like Rick Scott, MAGA Republican senator from Florida, was joining him in court today. By the way, Rick Scott settled a case and invoked the Fifth Amendment when he was leading a company that led the largest Medicare fraud to the tune of billions of dollars in the history of the United States. So frauds sitting with frauds. Here Donald Trump says that Rick Scott and a bunch of other people are going to be there with him in the court today. And then he goes and talks about how Americans are more dangerous than Russia or China. This is what this sick man is saying in court. Here, play this clip.
Today we have Rick Scott here, Senator Rick Scott. We have other politicians here. We have people, many people in support. The outside of this building is closed down like Fort Knox. Nobody's ever seen. We have so many police down here, New York's finest, and they are New York's finest. They're just told what to do, but they don't have them at Columbia. They don't have them at NYU or any other places. This is like an armed camp down here, and you have nothing to worry about. Believe me, your problem is from the left, it's not from the right. Big problem from the left. It's from within our country. That's a bigger, in my opinion, a bigger danger than China or Russia. You have it from the outside and you have it from within. From within is a bigger danger to our country, and it's from the left, not from the right.
Speaking of this utterly sick and disturbed man, when he's giving this speech before entering his criminal trial, he then says this horrific anti-Semitic statement. I'll just play it. Play the clip.
Are you happy to close it?
Thank you very much. What Biden is doing with respect to Israel is disgraceful. If any Jewish person voted for Joe Biden, they should be ashamed of themselves. He's totally abandoned Israel, and nobody can believe it. I guess he feels good about it because he did it as a political decision. You have to do the right decision, not the political decision. But
seriously? He's saying that if any Jewish person votes for President Biden, they should be ashamed of themselves. How dare you? Who are you to say this? Who are you to be talking about this? Who are you to be the arbiter of this? You are in a criminal trial for making hush money payments because you had sex with a porn star while your wife had just given birth to your first son. How despicable and disgusting are you? Brag about sexually assaulting. What a disgusting, disgusting person you are. Let me take you inside the courtroom for a moment, though. What's going on during the cross-examination where Donald Trump's lawyer, Susan Nicholas, was cross-examining Stormy Daniels. Here was a notable thing that happened just moments ago. Trump's lawyer, Susan Nicholas, says to Stormy Daniels, question, even though, Miss Daniels, you had agreed that you would not discuss this supposed story, and you had received a lot of money for that agreement, you then decided you wanted to publicly say that you had sex with Donald Trump. Isn't that true, Miss Daniels? Stormy Daniels' answer, no. Nobody would ever want to publicly say that. Nobody would ever want to publicly admit that they did that with Donald Trump. I wanted to publicly defend myself after Michael Cohen told the story. Donald Trump's lawyer, Susan Nicholas, then says, you wanted to make more money. Isn't that true, Miss Daniels? And Stormy Daniels says, no, that's why 60 Minutes was free. I did the interview for free. Susan Nicholas then asks Stormy Daniels whether Daniels hoped she'd be instrumental in putting Donald Trump in jail. And Stormy Daniels responds, show me where I ever said instrumental in putting Trump to jail. That doesn't sound like anything I'd ever say. So Susan Nicholas takes out a post from late March where Stormy Daniels is attacked by somebody on Twitter or X. And somebody says to Stormy Daniels, Michael Cohen and at Stormy Daniels, aka the human toilet, are their star witnesses. And Stormy Daniels responded to that message on March 27th, exactly, making me the best person to flush the orange turd down. So that's what Susan Nicholas showed Stormy Daniels, and Stormy Daniels said, so that's where you're saying that I said I want to be instrumental in putting him in jail? What are you talking about, Miss Nicholas? I was replying to somebody who was calling me a human toilet bowl, so I was capitalizing on the joke. The jury seems to be hating this cross-exam of Stormy Daniels right now. Harry Littman, who partners with the MeidasTouch Network, is in the courtroom right now, and he says the jury seems a bit detached and inattentive. They do not like, I think, Susan Nicholas, Trump's lawyer, asking these questions. Karen Friedman-Agnifilo from the Midas Touch Network commented about the direct testimony of Stormy Daniels. Here's what Karen Friedman-Agnifilo had to say. Play this clip.
And, look, she also talked about Trump's wife, that, Trump said that, Melania is very beautiful, but we don't sleep in the same room. Apparently, Trump shook his head at that point. She talked about, the whole thing about, he asked her about condoms and does she wear condoms as a porn star? Of course, everyone knows he's a germaphobe. Then, like, at one point, before they have sex, he's like, he reminds me of Ivanka. I realize the context that it was in, it seemed like it made sense. But when you know that he then had sex with her afterwards, it's so disgusting. I don't know.
And finally, here's what Karen Friedman-Agnifilo had to say about Trump's lawyers potentially opening the door to Stormy Daniels giving more specific information if Trump's lawyers are trying to act like this event never took place, that Stormy Daniels is lying about the whole thing. You heard Susan Nicholas continuing to refer to this as the supposed incident, supposed event. Karen Friedman-Agnifilo was a prosecutor at the district attorney's office, the number 2 at that office, and she worked there for almost 30 years. Here's her perspective. Play the clip.
I don't know why it's too salacious and it's going to somehow prejudice things that she's described the missionary position and no condom. It's not like she was describing the details of his genitalia, which I actually think is fair game. If I were the prosecutor on the case, I would have actually had her describe it in detail, which she did. She said it had a particular shape that was unique. I would have asked for a search warrant, like I've done dozens of times, to take a picture to see whether they're telling the truth. Does it look the way she described or not? Right? She said it had like a mushroom head and it was unusually small or something, whatever it was. And I've done that a bunch of times, especially in child abuse cases where there'd be no reason for a child to know what something looked like. Again, I'd ask for details. Was there a birthmark? Was there some kind of identifying feature that you can say? And then I would do a search warrant, take a picture. The police would go and take a picture. And if those details were there, it's kind of game over, because suddenly it's like, well, how would she know that if it's not true?
And while all of that's going on, here's what Donald Trump is saying about his lawyers right now. Play this clip.
And I think you'll see some very revealing things today. And I want to thank my lawyers. They've done a very good job, but I'd rather thank them after it's over as opposed to now, because we don't want them to get carried away. There's no case.
We will keep you updated as we learn more, but that's Donald Trump arriving in court, day 14, week 4, Stormy Daniels on the stand, being cross-examined, holding up pretty well right now. We'll keep you posted as we learn more. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 3 million subscribers. It's free to subscribe. Thanks for watching.
Love this video? Make sure you stay up to date on the latest breaking news and all things Meidas by signing up to the MeidasTouch newsletter at MeidasTouch.com/newsletter.